Hi, these are your final instructions on case file 2, which if you have a look at the assignment itself, you'll notice that it's divided into two cases. The first case deals with criminal law, the second deals with the law of negligence. If you're looking to pass this assignment, you're going to have to deal with P1 and P2. Now for P1, you're explaining the liability requirements in the tort of negligence, and we'll look at this a little bit later. For P2, you're outlining when damages are available for the tort of negligence. M1 builds on P1, where you analyse the law of negligence and the rules on damages in the actual given situation, so in our case it's case file 2. And for D1, you are evaluating the impact of the law of tort and the award of damages in that particular situation. Let's look at case file 2 itself. Mr. Ben Holmes and his colleague Ms. Kim Yu were on their way to an appointment later on the day of the 23rd of December 2012. Mr. Holmes was driving his car during rush hour when his mobile phone rang. As he was reaching for his phone, he lost control of his car and crashed into a car in front of him that had slowed down to stop at red traffic lights. Miss Yu suffered severe injuries, which caused partial paralysis to her left side, and she will now be unable to return to work for a number of months. Let's now look at the task itself. So for P1, you're going to explain the law of negligence to Mr. Holmes by describing the three hurdles. Now they are duty of care, breach of that duty, and damage. You decide to do this by referring to both leading cases as well as real life examples. It's been a while since you've dealt with a tort case, so you know you could do with a refresher. So how you're going to do this is to put a set of written notes together into the file. The next slide will look at actual guidance notes for this task. Okay, so the guidance notes for this task. You describe the three elements of negligence. You make sure you refer to leading cases. Caparo is one of the leading cases and it has a three-part test. And you need to describe each part of the three-part test with reference to decided case. The test of proximity needs to be stated in the context of closeness of time, space, or relationship. Make reference to cases such as Ball Hill versus Young. Breach requires a description of the reasonable person who's doing the same task by referring to cases such as Nettleship versus Weston. And damages requires a description of the principles of causation and remoteness of damage, and you do need to refer to cases such as Barnett versus Chelsea and Kensington Hospital Management Committee and the Wagon Mound. By going into Moodle, you'll notice that this PowerPoint is there, it's negligence. If you go through the PowerPoint slides, you'll see a lot of the information that I have just referred to in the guidance notes. You really can't complete P1 without saying what negligence is, and I would really say that this is your starting point. So say what negligence is. It's more than just careless conduct. It's about establishing that there's been a break or a breach of a legal duty to take care and that it's resulted in unintended harm being caused to the defendant. And essentially it's about compensating people who have suffered damage as a result of someone else's carelessness. Once you've explained what negligence is, you need to actually go into the legal framework itself. You need to show that a claimant must successfully pass each of the hurdles, describe and explain them each: duty of care, breach of that duty, damage caused by that duty. And damage is divided into writing about causation in fact and remoteness of damage. For P2, Miss Yu will be claiming damages, so in your second set of notes you need to outline when and why damages are available for the tort of negligence. When dealing with P2, you're going to divide your notes into general damages, which involves discussion of pecuniary and non-pecuniary, as you can see up there on the screen. So you'd explain what general damages means, explain the two pecuniary and non-pecuniary under general damages, and then go on to explain what special damages are. So I'll be looking for this in your notes. For M1, you're going to build on everything you wrote about negligence in P1. So you're going to analyse and apply the rule of negligence to case file 2. In order to analyse and apply, you want to move through each of the hurdles. So for duty of care, you're going to look at whether it was reasonably foreseeable that injury would occur to Miss Yu as a result of what Mr. Holmes had done. Was there a proximity between both Mr. Holmes and Miss Yu? Is it fair, just and reasonable to impose a duty of care on him? So you're going to use the information from P1, refer to it and then apply it to him. Move on to the second hurdle, breach of duty. Does he fall below the standard of care appropriate to the degree of risk? Then move on to damage and do the same thing. Has the defendant's breach caused damage? And if he passes all three hurdles successfully, then there is a negligence claim that's been established. Here's further instruction to help you with that M1 requirement. So you're to use the facts of Mr. Holmes's case, so case file 2. Apply the elements of negligence to this case in order to conclude whether there has been negligence or not. So follow it through systematically: duty, breach, and then damage. You make sure that you have given a detailed analysis. So, for example, why the Caparo 3-part test was met, so run through each of those elements of the test. You can make reference to the information you've gathered for Task 1, P1, as you're being analysed on the actual application of the law to the facts. And this then continues on to D1, where you analyse this area further as well as the area of damages.